You know, bad guys never think of themselves as bad guys. It's just a universal law.
Alright, there's several points here that I want to address. Um, the first thing is that you said bad guys never think of themselves as bad guys. Well, then how do we qualify that? Are you a bad guy? If so, how would you know? How would I know if you're a bad guy? How would I know if I'm a bad guy? How would you yourself know that you could be wrong about something and that you're a bad guy? Okay, secondly, Thunderfoot comments on the rapid progress afforded by science over the last 300 years or so, since Francis Bacon pushed for its use in society. Stone Age wasn't used as a specific chronological date, VFX, and you know that. He's referring to the fact that compared to the last 300 years of technology, that our technology was pretty stagnant and unchanged by comparison. Comparing better utensils or bowls is pretty redundant in comparison to the high quality, quick changes that have happened since implementing the scientific method on a wide scale over the past 300 years. Once again, saying the Stone Age was not meant to refer to an exact chronological date. It was just meant as a general statement that science had not changed as much in comparison to the last 300 years. Then you move on to infinite regression. Okay, infinites being traversed is not a strong point for your argument. Think of this. Take a pencil, draw a line that's 1 inch long. We know it has a beginning, we know it has an end. All along that line, there are infinite points. Those infinite points must be traversed if they get from one end to the other, yet there are an infinite number of points along that line. Then you throw Genesis out there, which still does nothing for your argument, because just because a book provides an explanation for something doesn't mean it's automatically correct. You're a moron. I read that a while back, and since I happen to know many people believe that it's true, then it must be, right? The next point is that we don't just throw our hands up in disgust. Scientists continue to explore, theorize, and create models that can be tested against complex mathematics. You're right that we can know about the universe, but not because every argument defaults back to, well, what does the old book say? The reason that we can know is because it is an empirical matter. The answer can be known inside a naturalistic worldview. Whether or not we will know it is a separate question from whether or not we currently know it, which is why Thunderfoot says it isn't unknown, meaning that at this point it is unknown. Yes, it is okay to just sometimes admit when you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You should take that into account every once in a while. In Thunderfoot's case, he's simply saying that there's something that cannot be known by the empirical means that we have at our dispense right now. Then we get to the box analogy. Ooh, I love this one. Okay, in your example, thinking outside of the box means thinking outside of rationality and objectivity. A scientist's box is that of the natural world. They use empirical evidence. Your out of the box analogy is only useful if there are elements of the natural world which science is accidentally or intentionally disregarding for whatever reason. But that isn't the case. If a scientist doesn't include something that should be included inside the naturalist box, then their theories are hammered and criticized, just critiqued to the point that they're obviously incorrect. And if they're critiqued over and over and over and withstand that amount of scrutiny, then yes, it becomes much more likely that since the hypothesis holds water to begin with and it withstands scrutiny, that it's probably correct. Either way, it's not based on something that someone else said several thousands of years ago. Okay, and then we get to your etymology. Wow, DPR Jones beat me to this one. You want us to believe that because an English word has been adopted to represent what we consider to semantically define everything in existence is from uni and verse, and oop, that equals the Bible's correct. Is that even considered the direct translation of the word creation from the original Hebrew? What did the Hebrew think of the word creation? How did that word get translated into Greek and then in St. James English? Of course, none of that matters for you because all you want to do is throw a quick blurb out there to reinforce what you think you know and pass it off as impeccably, unconditionally true. Okay, somewhere around 3 minutes 50 seconds, you start saying, whatever made us. You're asking a question, but is it the correct question to ask? More accurately, the question should be phrased, how did we come to be as we are? Then after this, you get on some little, okay, if something is made, then it is made with a purpose, and blah, 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 blah. That entire line of reasoning is non sequitur. Okay, VFX, it does not follow. Just because you can put two premises together, say therefore, and add a conclusion, does not make it a sound argument. Then there's how are we going to know? How are you going to know how to help people if you don't know the meaning of life? So no one's ever been able to help anyone ever in the world unless they've known the meaning of life. Now that's assuming that Christians even believe that they know what the meaning of life is. That's how ridiculous this assertion is. Do I need to know the meaning of life to offer tech support, coach a kid's basketball game, help a guy with a flat tire, save a woman from domestic violence? At what point is a person unable to help someone because they don't know the meaning of life? And do you think that all Christians know the meaning of life? And because of that reason, they can help people alone? What if all Christians don't agree with your meaning of life proposition? Ooh, this is getting long. Okay, let me speed it up. Listen, I don't want to make fun of the guy, says the guy who just made fun of the guy not 10 seconds before he says it in his video. Somewhere around 4:45, yes, we wonder, but not dogmatically accept something that is constantly proven either immoral or just flat out fucking wrong. Okay, let's start out with this little analogy. Step one, wonder. Step two, what if there's a God? Step three, come to some answers, and then we get heckled. That's pretty much what you said. Okay, so I'm wondering now. Jellyfish are made of jelly. That's what I wonder. I'm not going to criticize it. I'm just going to assume that the wanderings of my imagination are true, and I'll believe it regardless of what other people say with evidence to the contrary. Number two, I've come to some answers. Jelly comes from jellyfish. Whoa, okay. I go around telling everybody that, and because they happen to believe in something that I imagined and they agree with me, from now on I'll base everything in my life around the fact that jelly is from jellyfish. So how can I even use the word fact in a sentence where I'm talking about something that has had no real intellectual inquiry into it as to whether or not I'm right, even close to approaching right? As a matter of fact, how did I even come up with that conclusion? It's inherently stupid, and probably the result of understanding the logic or lack thereof used to introduce the God myth. And that's going to wrap it up for this video. Since you were entirely off the mark for a conversation about in regards to morality, that's just going to have to be an entirely different video. You were so off base with anything approaching the concept of morality that there's no way that I can even get that in here and keep it under 10 minutes. It's just not possible. So to conclude, yeah, the reason Thunderfoot doesn't have time to debate you is because people like me don't have time to debate you. And I think I'm a lot less busy than Thunderfoot, just according to the messages that he gives out. So I got a better idea. Why don't you start off debating me? Debate me. DPR Jones has extended an offer to debate with you. Even Q Dragon. So let's see you man up, and you won't be sending me any messages like you did to Q Dragon, calling me a boy. Yeah, you want a real debate? You can get it with me.
You know, bad guys never think of themselves as bad guys. It's just a universal law.
Oh, I bet you guys forgot about T-Pain, didn't you?